It is 11:47 p.m. You are driving home. The road is empty. You've driven this stretch 1,000 times. Your eyes close, just for a second. When they open, you are in the other lane. Headlights, screaming horn. You wrench the wheel, miss by 2 feet. Your heart hammers, your hands shake, you pull over. You sit there in the dark, breathing, and then you say it. Everyone says it. I was so lucky. Number, you weren't. Here is what actually happened in that moment. And I need you to stay with me, because this is going to sound like science fiction, but it is peer-reviewed quantum physics. In most versions of that night, you didn't make it. The crash happened. The ambulance came. Your family got a phone call. So why are you here? Why are you sitting wherever you are sitting right now, watching this? There are 3 possible answers. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why one of them is probably true, and why it is the most disturbing of the 3. Pause of the 3rd answer, by the way. That is the one that makes physicists lose sleep. I'll get there. But first, I need to show you something about the universe that your physics teacher almost certainly never told you. You know Schrödinger's cat box? Cat poison radioactive atom. Either the atom decays and the cat dies, or it doesn't and the cat lives. Until you open the box, the cat is somehow both. You learned this. You nodded, you moved on. You probably thought it was a philosophical joke. It is not. And the reason your teacher's version of this experiment never properly disturbed you is this. You were on the wrong side of the box. You were the scientist, safe outside, clipboard in hand, looking in. Now I want you to climb inside. Not metaphorically. This is an actual thought experiment with a real name, quantum suicide. And it is the version that physicist Hugh Everett III was thinking about when he changed physics forever in 1957. Here is the setup. You build a machine. It is a gun pointed at your head, but the trigger has nothing to do with springs or timers. It is wired to a quantum spin detector. A single electron. If the electron spins up, the gun fires. If it spins down, click. Safe quantum mechanics is very clear until the measurement is made. The electron exists in both states simultaneously. It is spinning up and down at the same time. You sit down, the barrel is cold against your temple, you press the button. What happens? Your instinct says 50/50ths. Coin flip. You either live or you die. Wrong. And here is why that is wrong. Here is the thing that Everett saw that nobody before him had fully accepted. The universe does not choose. It never chooses. It never has. Every time a quantum event happens, every electron spin, every photon bounce, every radioactive decay in the history of everything. The universe doesn't pick a winner, it does both. Visual cue, universe splitting like a zipper. The moment you press that button, reality itself divides. 2 universes, identical in every single way except one. In universe A, the electron spun up, the gun fired. There is a body in the chair. In universe B, the electron spun down. Click, you exhale. Now, and I need you to really sit with this question, which universe are you in? By pure logic, only the one where you are alive to ask. Dead people don't wonder which universe they're in. Dead people don't wonder about anything. Consciousness requires a functioning brain. Experience requires a body. So your awareness, your perspective, the camera behind your eyes, has nowhere to go except the surviving branch. You press the button, click, you think. Lucky. You weren't lucky. You were selected by the math of the universe because you are the only version of yourself who could be sitting here thinking about it. Pete, now let's talk about what happens when you press it again. Press the button again. Click again, click 10 times, 20, 50. In normal probability, surviving 50/50/50ths coin flips in a row has odds of roughly 1 in 1 quadrillion. A number so large it exceeds the number of grains of sand on every beach on Earth. In a classical universe, that is basically impossible. But we're not in a classical universe under the many worlds interpretation, which is not a fringe theory. It is one of the 2 dominant frameworks in modern quantum physics. After 50 button presses, here is what exists. Trillions upon trillions of universes where you are dead, funeral home. Grieving families, investigations, news reports, and exactly 1 line of universes where, against all calculable odds, you are still sitting in that chair. That is the line you are in. Not because you are special, not because God intervened, because your consciousness, your camera, can only run in a universe where the camera is still intact. The smashed cameras don't know they're smashed. They just stop. Physicists call this the anthropic selection effect. You will always find yourself in the universe where you survived, because those are literally the only verses where you exist to find yourself. Max Tegmark, cosmologist at MIT, one of the most respected physicists alive, put it this way: if the many worlds interpretation is true, you will never experience your own death. You will simply become infinitely old. Pause for effect now. I promised you a catch. Plant Loop 3 payoff setup. And here it comes. Because infinitely old sounds like a superpower, it is not. It is the specific shape of a nightmare. Stop scrolling in your head for a second. I want you to actually do this. Think of your closest call, not a vague feeling of danger, a specific moment. The time the doctor said we need to run more tests, the accident you walked away from, the night you really genuinely thought it was over. Now think about every close call before that one. What are the combined odds that you survived all of them? Now consider this. Maybe you didn't survive all of them. Maybe you were just the version that did. Drop that in the comments. Tell me your closest call, the one you still think about. I read every single one, and I'll pin the most interesting reply. Beat, then, hard, pivot, okay, the catch. Let's talk about the catch. Here is what quantum immortality actually guarantees, and what it does not. It guarantees your consciousness continues. It does not guarantee your body cooperates. Think about what that means. A car crash happens in 99% of universes, you die instantly. In 0.9% you survive but can't move. In 0.09% you survive with brain damage. In 0.001% you walk away. Your consciousness flows to the most probable branch where it still exists, which is not the best branch, it is just the most likely surviving branch. And here is the trap. As you age, as your body accumulates damage, the probability of the walk-away fine branch approach is 0. The probability of cling to life on machine stays non-zero, the longest. So that is where you end up. Picture yourself at 110. Everyone who loved you, gone, your parents, your friends, your children. You've attended every one of their funerals, because in your timeline, entropy always wins for them. Only your camera is still rolling at 150 ventilator, at 200 tubes and monitors in a hospital room that doesn't look like any hospital you'd recognize. You are not healing. You are not regenerating. You are just the version that hasn't stopped yet. Physicists call this the entropy trap. You are forced into increasingly improbable, increasingly diminished realities. Not because you want to survive, but because the math gives your consciousness nowhere else to go. You become a medical anomaly, a case study, the man who won't die, and the cruelest part. You know exactly why. Quantum immortality doesn't keep you alive. It just keeps you from dying. Those are not the same thing. The universe keeps your camera running. It doesn't care what the footage looks like. Now here is the answer to the third possibility I mentioned at the beginning. Remember, 3 possible reasons you survived that near miss. I told you the third one makes physicists lose sleep. Here it is. If the many worlds interpretation is correct, if you are truly the only observer who can never die in your own timeline, then in a very real physics-supported sense, you are the universe's only permanent witness. Physics says reality doesn't fully exist until it is observed. Particles exist in superposition until measured. The act of observation collapses the wave function into something real. You are that observer. You have always been that observer. And as long as you exist, the universe, your universe, has to exist with you. Which means this: you will outlast everything. You will watch the people you love grow old and disappear, one by one, into branches of the multiverse. You'll never visit again. You'll attend their funerals in your timeline, and somewhere in a reality you can never reach. They're attending yours. You'll watch civilizations rise, you'll watch them fall. You'll still be here, in whatever form, when the last star burns out. When the galaxies drift so far apart that the sky goes permanently dark. When the universe enters its final cold, silent phase. What physicists call the heat death of everything. And you will still be there. A pattern, a signal, a ghost of consciousness in the void. Not because you are special, not because you are blessed, because ending is not an experience, and you can only have experiences. You aren't trapped in life, you are trapped in the fact that death for you has no inside. And here is the thing nobody tells you about living forever while everyone else doesn't. It is not grief you feel. Grief ends, it is something quieter, the specific loneliness of being the last one who remembers. Okay, take a breath. Here is the other side of this coin. You are watching this video in the most improbable timeline imaginable. The branch where every coin flip in your entire life came up the right way, where every close call resolved in your favor, where the camera kept rolling through everything that should have stopped it. The other versions of you, the ones in the other branches, they didn't get this moment. Only you did. And maybe that doesn't change what you had for breakfast this morning. Maybe it doesn't make your commute less awful or your bills less real. But it means this: you are not a bystander in your own existence. You are the sole observer of a universe that, according to physics, literally requires you to keep going. Deliver quotable bomb number 3. You are not alive despite the odds. You are alive because the odds had nowhere else to put you. The universe doesn't give you a reason. It just gives you the next moment. So the question isn't whether you survive. The question is, what do you do with the branch you are in? Here is what I want you to do right now. One, tell me your closest call in the comments. The one that still sits with you. The moment where, according to everything we just talked about, you probably did die. In most universes, I read every comment. I'll pin the most thought-provoking one. Two, if this broke your brain in the way I was hoping it would, subscribe. Not just for more videos, but because the next one goes somewhere darker. We're covering the Boltzmann brain paradox. The idea that there is a higher probability you are a random fluctuation of consciousness that spontaneously appeared with false memories than that the universe you remember actually happened. That one will genuinely make you question whether anything before this moment was real. Subscribe so you don't miss it. It drops day. And three, if you know someone who thinks they have everything figured out, send them this video, because nothing resets perspective like you've been dying in parallel universes your entire life. I'll see you in the branch where you click subscribe.